Two, one. Okay, we are live. It looks like we're live, so super excited. So thanks everybody for joining us today over on My So-Called Hippie Tribe. We have my friend Dr. Katie Henry here today. She's going to share with us how to bring more joy into our lives, what that looks like, some really great tools to do that. Before we get started into all of that, want to welcome you all. I hope you guys are all having a really good week. And then, Katie, I want you to share with me a little bit about your story, because you have a pretty interesting story. Like, you didn't necessarily start out on this path, and it's funny how life like redirects you, and then you hit this place where like, this is my calling. So why don't you share with us a little bit about your story, and then we'll dive into your work.
Yeah, for sure. You know, it's really funny. I was just talking to actually my mom yesterday and about like this new idea I had, and she was like, "Oh, it's like what you wanted to do all along, but you had to take this like very strange path." So
some of us do. Some of us do.
Yeah. And you know what? It's totally fine. Hi guys. So yeah, I think like the basis of really my story, without going too long into it, is that like I've been a go-getter and like a achiever my whole life. And I think, Paige, you and I have this in common. Yeah. So
I'm like the total opposite, because like I went to college to have a good time, not necessarily to get all the degrees.
Well, you know, I did a little bit of that as well. Let's just say, like, I played volleyball in college and I got a scholarship, and there were times when my coaches had to call me in the office and be like, Katie, we're hearing stories about you. And I was like, oh boy. No, but seriously. So it was like, okay, go to a good school, you know, get a scholarship, finish school, go get your doctorate. Like I went to Duke. I mean, I was like, achieve this, do this. I got a job at like the best hospital, the best rehab hospital here in Chicago. And actually it's like ranked in the top in the world or something crazy. So it was like, okay, great. You did this, good work, good job. Yay. High fives, you know? And it was just like, I feel like everything in my life was like, do this, check it off the list, check it off the list, you know, have a good relationship, or what I thought was good. You know, have all of the friends, be the person that everyone goes to whenever you need something, always have the answers, always do things for other people. And that was like my story for my whole life, for years. And it was great. And on the outside, everything looked very good and successful with my career, with my personal life, with my relationships, with my health, like everything looked great. But inside, I just felt like there was something totally missing. I left the job I had at a hospital, started my own private practice. That went really well, did all this stuff. And it was still something off. And I eventually, I was actually just writing about this the other day. Went for a run one day after I had gotten out of a relationship that wasn't good. And I realized on that run that I had been running my whole life, and I had been running from myself. And I, you know, had what I thought was a great life, but in reality, I was living a life of what I thought I was supposed to do. And it was for everybody else. And I wasn't actually doing things for me. And I was putting what was important for everyone else over myself. And I ended up getting like really sick, burnt out, adrenal fatigue, like collapsing at work multiple times. And this had been a few years ago. And I had like picked all of these different things to try to fix it. You know, I was a yoga teacher. I got my yoga teacher training. I found meditation. I did all of these like spiritual things. I was using essential oils and crystals and all this stuff. And it was like, there was still something not fully there. And it wasn't until I went on this whole journey of finding my own kind of spiritual path and something that was an understanding for me, because I grew up Catholic and like had faith in something and then always questioned it. So once I found what worked for me, I realized that was a huge foundation of who I was, and that this coaching stuff that I had been doing on the side while I had my private practice, but it was more around like the health and wellness field, that was great. but I realized that it wasn't my truest calling. And my big thing was to do what I'm doing now, which is really teaching and empowering heart-centered women, which is literally everyone in this group.
Right.
Which is why it's just like an honor to be connected with everyone here, but how to find joy in all areas of your life, because that was me. Like, I'm a very like high energy, high vibe person. People are always like, how are you so positive? And I was like, I don't know. And then I changed who I was for so long. And it took a little bit of a circle to come back to myself. But what I realized is that like joy was the foundation of everything I was about, but it's also like a foundation of all of us and is in all of us. And it's something that a lot of people like think is this unattainable thing, but it's actually not as hard as we make it. And so there's lots of different ways to find it. And that just, as I kind of stepped into this, I was like, this is my passion, this is my calling, and I want to help people who help other people. And that's how I can have this ripple effect and make a bigger impact on the world. So that's a long, short version of
it. Yeah, totally. I'm with you on that. I think this is really good timing too, because, we kicked off the group talking about manifestation. And then last week we talked about clearing the blocks in our body, which sometimes gets in the way in our manifestation. And hey, do me a favor. Is your audio on in the Facebook group? Go ahead and click it off, because I think it's reverbing back to me.
Oh.
I think. We're going to see in just a second.
I don't think so.
Okay. Let me close mine and make sure it's not mine. Here we go. I can still kind of hear myself. You hear me?
Uh-huh.
Dang it, still reverbing back to me. Oh, well, we're going to figure it out. But so we started talking about manifestation with Andrea and how to make our dreams come true. Then we worked with Rebecca, and she was telling us how to like clear blocks in the body, because a lot of times that's what's getting in the way of us manifesting everything that we want. And then here we're talking about joy. And you and I both know joy is the highest vibration that you can have. And the trick to manifestation is using joy. And when you combine your manifestation with joy, like that creates a vacuum for everything to happen. And so I think this is building one on top. And I think a lot of people, hearing your story about having the checklist and you thinking that when I accomplish this, this, and this, and this, now I'm going to be happy. And I think most people, especially nowadays, we have this higher consciousness that we're slowly but surely learning that it's absolutely backwards, that the internal work has to be done first, and then we do all the other stuff. And so I think this is, something that a lot of people can definitely relate to. And I think, especially when you're talking about your higher calling, you can do all the other stuff. And for myself, I always found myself very frustrated and often felt kind of stuck, even regardless of how it looked on the outside. Internally, it could be very different. And your calling will find you. 100%. You're going to get detour after detour after detour until you like wise up and you go, this is my path.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that what's so interesting is that I think this does apply to everybody else and everything that we've been talking about. And like, I just think that everything, especially for the past few weeks, totally has built up to this. And I'm like in 100% agreement with like, you have to clear the energetic blocks and the physical stuff, because things show up in our body that hold us back. And if we don't work through that, like you just said, like the manifestation or the joy that we desire and all these things, you sometimes realize that there are things in you that you didn't even know were holding you back. But I think the biggest thing when it comes to joy, and like you said, it is the highest energetic vibration, the more, and I mean, it's the whole basic principles of the law of attraction, but the more you're in that state of joy, the more you're going to attract that into your life. So people, have asked a lot of like, well, how is this possible? I'm like down here. How can I get up to that joy? Like that seems like a quantum shift, a giant leap. And it can be, but that's also about your beliefs around it. Like if you believe that you can achieve joy in your life, then you absolutely 100% can. And so it's about shifting your thoughts around it and shifting your belief system around it, as well as just starting to experience little things that bring you joy and little things that raise your vibration each day, and staying in that and being grateful that those opportunities showed up, seeing that as an opportunity and as a thing to grow with and expand with, and say, this is cool. How can I do this more? Because I think that, like, for me personally, when I think of joy, I think of children. And what I loved is when we had asked that in the group, a lot of people had said that. And I think when you look at a child, they...
Up until they're about 5. Up until they're about maybe... And then, just kidding, I'm totally joking.
No, well, I mean, if you think about like a child up at the age of 7 is when they develop their like more like higher level consciousness.
My kid yelling in the background.
So, okay, let's say, but more like a toddler, like a 2 or 3 year old. Yes, they're crazy. Yes. But the things that they possess and their approach to the world is what I believe is what is like the deep rooted piece of all of us internally, is this fearlessness, this curiosity of like, what happens if I do this? Like, how often do kids just like jump off of a couch or like climb off the play structure and dive into something headfirst without any fear? But they're also like, I wonder what happened if I do this. They also have this just like pure bliss and joy around them. I mean, I can hear them, but it's just
can you hear my kid in the background?
Yeah, but it's just like,
I have her in her high chair eating lunch right now while we do this. So, sometimes they just got to chill in the high chair.
Hey, it's cool. But I'm just saying that, like, we all have that in us. Like, why can't we do that more? As adults, we sometimes need to go back to this like childlike state. And I think it really starts with this curiosity of like, I wonder what would happen if I did this, and not think so much. So it's about getting out of our head and overanalyzing and all of that stuff and really starting to feel and embody things. So like, what does that feel like? What does joy feel like for you? How does that show up in your body? What are you doing? How do you do that more? All of those types of questions are really powerful things that can start to shift you to get into this energetic vibration and into this state that we're all really, honestly, ultimately striving for all the time.
I think when you strip it all down, like joy and love, that's the inner being of everybody. We learn how to put these layers on as we grow. And, our kids are our biggest teachers. Hands down, believe this. I can see things in my kids. Like, for instance, my youngest is at like 20 months. Mm-hmm. And there's things that she does that I think to myself, God, like, when did I lose that? For instance, if I give her something that she wants, it could be something so simple. Like, I give her water and she was thirsty. Or I give her a popsicle, or like whatever I give her, and like she wanted it, immediate celebration. Yay! Like, you want some water? Yes, here you go. Yay! And I think to myself, when was the last time I celebrated these small little things? It's not until that big thing happens that I'm like, when this happens, then I'm going to celebrate. Yeah. But it's celebrating those little things along the way. And then also I think to myself, when you're really in the thick of it, it's sometimes can be really difficult to shift that energy. It's when everything's going great, it's really easy to like be stuck in like, yes, I have joy, and it's very easy for me to manifest joy because I'm in a great state. But when life kind of sucks, to be honest with you, it's like you can't see yourself out of the mess. So what would you say are some of those things that anybody can do, like at a drop of a hat, regardless of what the situation is? Like, what can we do to like shift that for us?
Yeah. So it's a beautiful question. Something that people ask me all the time. They're like, well, there's no way I can be like this all the time. Life happens. And that's true. Life happens.
Good for you. You're like high vibe all the time. Joy is great for you. But for me, in our story that we go on with. So tell me, how would you shift that?
Right. So I always tell people to have kind of this like list of stuff. And some people write it down. It's in your head. But there are certain things that you can do in an instant that can shift you. So a lot of it honestly boils down to getting out of your head and into your body and into feelings and feeling things. So what allows you to feel really. So for some people, it can be a song and it can be music. It can be going for a walk. It can be dancing. It can be exercising. It can be journaling. It can be doing other tools like Rebecca had been talking about with like energetic clearing things. It can be tapping. It can be breath work. There's so many different things. And what I say for this is that you have to know what is right for you. And so, like you said with your daughter, when was the last time I celebrated something? When was the last time I did whatever? So something that we can totally do, we can either do it right now or at some point while we're talking, is to get your body into this state of when was the last time you experienced like pure bliss and extreme joy, and know what that feels like. Because if you can connect to what that feels like, that will allow you to say, oh my God, I feel awful. Oh wait, I remember that one time when I was on the beach with my family and whatever. And you can connect to that feeling and you can say, oh wait, I do have that, or I have had that in me before. One thing I love to tell people to do is when you're just in the thick of it, like honestly, this morning, my computer like was not working and I was like, we're doing this and I can't even open. And I wanted to throw it like against the wall. It was like one of those sensations, you know? And I was like, okay, like let it go. And so a really fast way to shift is to literally move as fast as you can for like 30 seconds where you're just like, running in place or moving your arms around like crazy. Like think of, again, like a toddler just jumping up and down. And then you stop and you put your hands on your heart and you feel your heartbeat and you just take a deep breath and say, I'm okay. I'm alive. This is going to be okay. And that can be a really, really quick shift to like literally remove blocks in this energetic state, but also get you out of thinking so much. Because when you're moving like a crazy person, you can't really think, you know? And then you just connect back to your breathing, but you also connect back to your body and you connect back to, oh yeah, it doesn't have to be so complicated. And you can think like, I look at, you know, I use my experiences of working, you know, in a hospital and whatever to say, some people can't even sit up. Some people can't even breathe on their own. Some people can't even walk. Like, I think my life is so hard. And I'm not saying you have to do this, but you just come back to simple gratitude of like, I'm here, I'm breathing on my own, I'm moving on my own, I'm doing these things, and I'm alive, I'm going to be okay.
Can I tell you kind of how it goes for me?
Yeah.
And y'all can let me know if this is how it goes for you. We got the comments live over here. Hi, Monique, I see ya. And hi, Rebecca. She says, so true, Katie. But let me share with you guys, this is how it goes for me, is that for some of us, and I'm going to say me included, our homeostasis, sometimes like our way of like what feels good to us and what feels natural to us is the negativity. So mine is like going with the crazy train. Like I saw before, the crazy train comes in and I jump right on and I'm like, we're going to crazy town. And then here, like my mind will go, and see, I told you, and I know this is happening. And I'm like, I get stuck in it. And so the whole idea of literally like shaking it out of your body, right? Because I don't know about you guys, but for me, it's like, oh man, it's like, I can see this happening and like, I got to get off the crazy train, but the crazy train is going. And so I see how like shaking it off, like disrupts almost your mind from keep going, you know, it disrupts what's going on. And then you can come back to like what really matters. And it's like, okay, is this really that big of a deal? Not really. And then how you're talking about gratitude, I think that is the hands down, the biggest thing that can shift everything for you is gratitude, and then being in service for somebody else. It's really hard to feel bad about your life, so bad about your life when you're trying to help somebody else.
Absolutely.
Like, I don't think you can do both at the same time.
Yeah. And I think one thing that you brought up is so true. And I have 100% on this. Honestly, I probably did it earlier this morning. Let's be real. But is you try to overthink through it. You're like, okay, well, I'm noticing that I'm thinking this thought. It's not true, but I don't want to feel that way. But now I feel bad about feeling bad. And then
like this, just shut up.
And so it's just like
in my head.
You have to Stop it. You have to. And it's like, and a lot of it, like, we're smart people. And the thing is that, like, we can overthink a lot, but when it boils down to it, like, our body knows what to do. So that's why I think it's really about shifting from our head to our body and to just feeling. So that's why I say, like, look at a toddler, because they don't have this higher level, like, logical brain that is telling them all of these crazy stories. So when you can shift into the feeling and the moving and literally remove, like, the energetic blocks, but a lot that we hold and store in our body literally can be just shaken out. Or another thing that can be a really powerful thing is to, like, scream, or, like, not obviously out loud, like someone's going to think you're being attacked, but, like, scream into a pillow or do anything. Like, I was in traffic the other day, and I this used to be really bad, but I now have, like, this laundry list of tools. But I used to, like, yell at people, or some guy, like, cut me off and then walked up to me. This literally happened yesterday. Walked around my car and was like, "Do you know what you're doing?" And I said, "I'm actually, like, on my way to one of my clients right now. And, like, you cut me off, buddy." But I like smiled and was really nice to him. And, like, he just went on, and I said, "Well, that was interesting." And I just did this huge giant breath in and, like, a really loud, like, ah, kind of exhale.
Get that away from me.
Let that release out. And it's just, we can't hold these things in, whether it's in our head or in our bodies or whatever it is, because, like Rebecca had talked about last week, it's like these things block us from getting to those higher levels. And the more we get stuck in all of these stories or these feelings, or, like, even if you're in, like, oh, I'm always in pain, I'm in this chronic pain, whatever, the pain is going to keep showing up, because that's what you're
Lord, girlfriend.
You know?
I don't, so I have, my story is very different. And I run my story too. I get very attached to my story. But I know people, their story is that they are in pain. And so it's constant. And how much of, and mine is just different, right? And so I play my story in my head, but how much of the story that we get attached to, then we run it over and run it and recreate it and recreate it and recreate it, because we bought into it so long. The funniest, like, image come to me when you talked about, toddlers don't have the ability to, the logical mind where they can do this stuff. And I, like, just had this image of, could you imagine, like, a 2 or a 3-year-old then, like, doing this? Oh, well, at 3, like, whatever that story is, like the self-defeating. Everybody can have success, but I can't at 3, right?
Yeah.
Or, it's just the craziest thing to, like, here we are. The things that we do are sometimes well beneath what you would even think a toddler would ever do, And so it's funny to think how, when we're kids, we come into this world complete and whole and all that kind of stuff. And over time, it's like we take this on, and somehow that's our, I don't know, maybe that's our path in life. It has something to do with our path. I don't know. But Heather, hey Heather, it's good to see you. She says, I love this interview. Good. I love you too. I love you too. I'm glad you're here. If you guys have any questions, get me out of this high chair. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and post them in the thing below. We are going to be giving away a free joy session with Katie. We'll talk about that in just 1 second. Go ahead and fill about 30 seconds of time so I can go get this kid out of the high chair so she can stop yelling, okay?
Oh my gosh, absolutely. I used to get out of my story. The old me used to, okay, hold on, Heather, I can only read parts of this. Oh, here we go. The old me used to believe that no one supports me, no one loves me, I'm supported, I'm in a better mom life. I think it's about it for me, and this is something that we're going to do in a second when Paige is back, is about how do you connect to the feeling of all of the things that you want and all the things that you desire? Because it is, when we connect to that, that's how we connect to our heart. And I believe, like, our purpose and our soul and something higher than us. I was just saying that when, I kind of want to do an exercise that goes with what we're talking about. But, I think that is, the more we can connect to that like inner part of us, this inner wisdom that we already know, that's how we can connect to something greater than us, but also how we can connect more to other people from a more, like, pure and real state, because like we were saying earlier, it's like when we peel back the layers, it really is about like love and joy, and those are like the two things that we're all searching for. And I think the third thing is connection, and to be able to connect with people, but connect with people on like a real level. And as someone who put all these different masks on, I used to say like I was this like social chameleon to just try to fit in. And I just morphed who I was. I mean, more when I was younger. And I think all of us do this at certain points in our lives. But I kind of kept that going for longer than felt good to me. But I think that the more we morph, the further we get away from like our truth and who we really are. And it takes us away from the ability to actually really connect with people, which is something that we're all striving for anyways. So doing this kind of stuff, doing this work and doing the internal work that, we've all been talking about and that, we're all about in here, is really how you can connect more to your truth and then share that authentically with other people. Because what I found and what I like to do in my work now is to help you come back to who you really are so that you can speak from a truer place. And I believe that's just from this joy that all of us have. And so, but what is joyful and good and high vibe and all that stuff for me is totally going to be a different story for you and for another person and whatever. And it's about like being able to tune into what that is for you and kind of get into that frequency, like energetically of, well, this is what joy is for me. This is what joy feels like for me. So this is what I'm going to do this more. And then the more you're in that, honestly, the less you have space for all the other stuff that just gets in the way. Because you're like, I don't know, I'm just vibing high up here. I mean, obviously you're not doing this all the time, but you're like, I'm not even available for all of these other things. And I think once you get to that point, you realize how much like internal work you've done to be like, oh, wow, that stuff that used to bother me a while ago doesn't anymore. Or those old stories that I used to perpetuate over and over and over again for years, they still come up, but they're not like controlling me anymore. And I think that's a really cool, powerful thing that you can remember, especially as all of these things, as you start to make these shifts, it's hard, but as you realize the more you're doing it, the easier it gets. And it does take like the practice of it, but you know how you can shift faster and faster.
No, totally. Rebecca says, yes, what you focus on grows. Because you can see this, like when you're, oh man, all the time. And I can see this in other people. When you're in that negative space, isn't it funny? Like everything that comes your way, you're like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? It's like then you're running late. Then it's like you hit every traffic jam. You get off on the wrong freaking exit and you're like, I'm lost. Like, anyways, I remember one time my husband and I were going to go see a play. I can't remember what play we were going to go see, but that was our story. Running late, all this like traffic. I just like this negative stuff. And I remember sitting in the passenger seat, just watching it unfold. And I could feel his like anxiety and tension around it and all that kind of stuff. And I almost started to laugh because it was like, of course we got off on the wrong exit. Like this is how this plays out. And of course there is no parking. And my 5-year-old will tell you, like, I am like the parking, like my parking juju is gotten to be so good right now. Cause like, I know going into something like, all right, let's set that intention. And like parking spaces are just going to magically appear. And I tell her every time we go park, watch, Eden, watch, we got some good parking juju. And like, sure as day, like, here we go. And like somebody will pull right out of front. So Costco is the worst freaking place to get parking. And I'm like, dude, if you can manifest parking at Costco at like noon on Saturday, you have good parking juju, And so you can start to play with these things front row every time.
Yeah.
You can start to play with, okay. The hard part is, man, when you are in that negative start, see it happening. You're like, oh man, you trip, or like the craziest stuff happens when you're in negative space. And it's hard. Some of the tools you're giving us. And I thought it was funny, part of what you said when you said how we all want, like we're all at the end of the day looking to connect with people. And that's kind of part of our existence. The human condition is like connecting with somebody.
Yeah.
But yet we do all of this stuff. I'm taking our names away. We do all of this stuff to then get in the way of what we ultimately want is connection.
Right.
It's like we layer on all this stuff that gets in the way of that. But it's interesting how we get pulled in so many different ways like that. So let's see if we have what you focus on grows. Love it. Haha, mama life for sure. Such is my life. I love the comments. Cool. So let's jump back in. What else can we do? Because I like the shaken part. I like the gratitude stuff. What other stuff do you show your clients? Like, share with me. Like, if I was working with you, what would we do?
So we do a meditation thing, which I'm going to do in a second. But the other thing I use a lot is journaling and writing things out. So one of the things that I always like have people do is to write out like what is your perfect and I think some of you might have done this kind of exercise before, but like, what does your perfect day look like? What do you do and all of that? And then start to look at like, oh, if I was doing X, Y, and Z, like, how would that feel? How does it feel when things are good, when things are joyful? How does that feel? And then look at like, why am I not doing this right now? Like, what is getting in the way of the joy that I'm desiring, all of these things that I'm desiring? Like, why am I not doing this? If this is what I want.
What is my payoff?
Yeah.
What is my payoff?
Yeah.
Even when it's negative, people think like you would never want to do negative stuff for it, or you don't do it.
Yeah.
You know, so what's my payoff for it? That's interesting.
Yeah. So like, oh, so you want all this stuff, but you're not doing it. There has to be a reason why. And it may be something that like, well, it may be things like fear holding you back or doubt or whatever, but it may also be like, this is my norm. I don't know what would happen if I had this crazy thing like,
because I'm so attached to my story, and this validates.
Right.
It validates how I feel. And so like, I'm so, yes, girlfriend.
Yeah.
But that's also good stuff.
But there's also like, and when you think about it, you're saying, and you say, okay, well, this makes me feel secure. This makes me feel this. And this gives me this sense of feeling loved, or like, oh, I have this attachment to the way I grew up or my parents with this, da, 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 da. Okay, that gives you the sense of security, but that's also keeping you here. If you want to be up here, you do have to release some of that and let that go. So once you kind of notice that and say like, okay, is this really, really, truly what I want? Is this really, truly what I desire? Because some of the times what we are striving for isn't actually what we really, truly want. We might deeper down want something else. And so like I was saying kind of in the beginning, you know, I was reaching for all of this stuff externally. And what I realized is like, it was actually a lot simpler than I was making it. And so you may want these goals and achievements and whatever, but it's also a feeling that you want. And like we've been saying, a lot of stuff really boils down to you want to feel connected to people, you want to feel loved, you want to feel joy. And maybe it's you want to feel seen, you want to feel respected, you want to feel whatever. So it's about really, what do you really, truly want? And making it a simple thing, but making it a feeling that you can actually feel and connect with. And then looking at that and saying, okay, I want all these millions of things. I'll get those at some point. But if I really start with focusing on these feelings, and for me, it's joy is one of my big ones, but it's, okay, if I really want this joy, what can I do right now that will bring me more in that state, or will that give me that experience and that feeling more? And then you can start to shift and you can start to move into it happening more often. But if you don't know what you really, really, truly want, like the why behind the why behind the why, you're going to continue to strive for things and still feel unfulfilled.
Okay. So I gotta tell you, like what you're saying, this is a very interesting experience for me, because what you are saying right now has been something that's really been like, this has been very present in my life for the past like maybe 6 months or so. It's so crazy that you mentioned this. So I was very much like you, like, it's like go after goals and like everything that I thought that I wanted a lot of times was evading me, right? Because this whole like wanting something so badly perpetuates this myth that it's not already there.
Right.
And so I had to think to myself, okay, what are these things that I want to achieve? When we really get down to it, like, why do I want to get it? It's because of the feeling it was going to give me. And so, you know, what success? It was things like, because then I'll feel accepted, and then people will love me, and then I'll be happy, and then I'll have joy, and all of this stuff. And so for me, what happened is I had to take a step back, and I went through like all of those things and started listing out what is that ultimate feeling inside that I'm looking for. And then it was the craziest experience. And I was perpetuating this myth that in wanting something so badly that it wasn't there and that I was going to achieve it, that when I took a step back, I started to look around my life and I was like, holy moly, like that stuff is already here.
Yeah.
And it was the craziest experience to go, oh my God, Paige, everything you want already exists in your life. And then I was like, oh my gosh, this is what they talk about. Then this is the space that you work from.
Yes.
You work from, I already have it. And this is the place that I start to create my life from. So I'm reading my mind right now. It's crazy. I love it.
Yeah, but it's like, I think is exactly that. And it's a lot simpler than we make it out to be. And then when you realize you have all this stuff that you've been striving for, what you really want is to have it more often. So when you work from that space, that's when so people often ask a lot like, oh, well, what is this thing called like inspired action or alignment, or how do you achieve flow, and all of these things where like it becomes easier. And it's exactly what you said. When you realize what you have is, or the thing you've been striving for, you have already, or maybe you're closer to it than you realize, you start to get into that state and into that energy and into that, and you work from that space. That's how you achieve more. That's how you live in more alignment, where things start to fall into place. And you're like, oh,
100%.
well, I want this and I want this and I want this. Oh, okay, now I know exactly what steps to take to get me there. Or you work from this state of flow, which is like your peak state, from a physiological standpoint, from an energetic standpoint, from an emotional standpoint, from a spiritual standpoint. And, you know, you kind of get out of your own way and things just move through you. And that can happen physically. Like you're going, like, I'm sure a lot of the times, like let's say you're moving and you're like going on a run, and this has happened to me before. And if you're like, this doesn't resonate, I'll give another example in a second, but you're going for a run and you just get to this point where you're like, wait, I'm not even tired. And I've been going for like 30 minutes. And then you're like, wow, this actually feels good. What is going on?
An absolute myth. This does not happen in my course.
It does.
If I run, I feel like I'm always going to die.
Well, it can happen in other physical things. It can. But you also like, let's say you're a writer and you get to this point where you're like writing, you're struggling. Yeah, the runner's high for sure. It's like you're struggling, you're writing, and you're like, oh, I can't get it. And then all of a sudden you get into this state, this space, and you connect, and you're like, boo, and you're like, I just vomited all these words out onto your page. But it was because you connected to, this is like what I say, like, is your true why, your true purpose, your true whatever, your true essence. So it's going to be different for every person. For some people, it is that like physical space of like moving and running like the wind. That might not be your thing, Paige, but maybe it is that, you know, you're connecting to people. Let's say you're connecting to people. Like this happens to me if I lead like a meditation or I do a group thing and I'm just like talking, and then all of a sudden, like, there's this download, something through me, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I blacked out. What just happened? Right. And it's just like, you get out of your own way and things just flow. And it doesn't make any sense, but it feels good. And it just flows through you. And it is a beautiful thing. And I think that is like the ultimate goal of achieving and reaching for whatever you're desiring too. Is just let it be you.
Different experience to go from chasing after something and almost like our world is outwardly created, very different to go from chasing goals and all that kind of stuff, than to inspired action that's coming from within.
Mm-hmm.
It is like night and day.
Yeah.
Everything that you're saying, I'm just like, I'm loving it. Lauren loves it too. My friend Lauren. We're actually going to go see Danielle Laporte today. So we're excited about that.
You guys are going to love it. I got to work her event in New York, and she came up to me. She's like, "Hi, I'm Danielle. I don't know if you know me." And I was like, "Yeah, I know you."
Good speaker. So
she's amazing, you guys. Like, oh, you're gonna love it. She's so good. So good.
That's awesome. Let me put this. So, we got a little bit more stuff we can talk about. So I'm gonna put your website up here so people can kind of go on over and check it out.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Do we have it under drkatiehenry.com?
Yeah, it's drkatiehenry.com.
Okay, cool. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
So if you guys want to go over to Katie's website, you can connect with her there. Also, if you search Fuel Your Joy in Facebook, you can see her group, join her group, follow her teachings a little bit more. I'll post the links to you guys can get a better feel for her stuff. So let's talk about, where are you going from here? What's coming up next for you?
Me.
What are you most excited about?
Oh my gosh, so many fun things. In my life, I am packing up where I'm living and putting it in storage and traveling around. So I may be in Southern California, who knows? But I'm going to go to like Australia and New Zealand and Bali at some point in the winter. It's been something I've always wanted to do and just put aside. And I'm like, why
this
not
is all stuff you can do when you don't have kids.
Right. And that's what I'm saying is I don't have kids right now, so I can do this. Why am I not doing this? So that's like an exciting life thing, which isn't related, but it is because it's about following what feels good and brings me joy. And I think my big thing with my work is that I really want to embody the message that I like share with people. You guys are cracking me up. So that's that. In my work stuff is I have to just be like honestly incredibly grateful that a lot of the people that I've been working with or connecting with are just truly like the people that light me up and are like my friends. So that feels amazing. That's fun and exciting for me is that I am creating a new program that is like something that I believe I needed. This is how, I don't know about anyone else who does this kind of work, but I always teach what I know, experienced, and went through like a few years ago. So yeah, my signature course is called Feel to Heal. And it's literally this whole process that we're talking about was like what got me to where I am right now. But I'm creating something new that is going to be this summer called Cultivating Conscious Compassion. And
most of the stuff always has like an alliteration to it. Like it all starts with this because it kind of does. It sounds really good, by the way.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to have the alliteration because that sounded good. I wanted it to be about compassion, but something that what I realized when I was sharing with you guys a little bit about my story is that I was giving and giving and giving to so many people, and I thought that I was being compassionate, but it was really like empathetic and kind of going from this higher vibration thing to I'm going to be in their pain with them. And in order to help people out of your pain, you actually need to stay on this higher level, but hear them and feel them, but don't like drop down to that, because if you are empathizing, and I mean, I'm like, oh, I'm an empath and whatever, and that's not a bad thing. And anyone who is, it's fine. But if you're trying to help someone move through something, you have to disconnect in a way. You have to feel them, but without actually 100% feeling it and embodying it and taking on their pain and whatever. So I'm really excited about that.
I need that course. Let me tell you, you're going to die laughing at this. So I usually don't share this with people. So this is so funny. So growing up, total empath over here. So growing up, I remember being really young. And when you would go like to Disneyland or not, it's very fun, like amusement parks over here. And when they would have the body of water, hey, Diane, you can always catch the replay. But you know, when you would see the body of water and you would throw coins in it and you would make a wish, right? So at 5, what would you wish for? Share with me what you would wish for.
Like ice cream cone or something.
Great. So Paige at 5 years old wishes for world peace and no hunger, right? At 5. Gets really invested in watching Feed the Children. Remember, like the infomer? Oh my God!
Yes, I used to sob at those.
Cry over. Couldn't help, and it would like break my heart. Or coming off the freeway, and you know, you would see every once in a while you'll see somebody that's homeless sitting there, and then I remember I would like crying so much in the car, and like my parents like, why are you crying? And like I took that on so much, so I can use that course, and I think a lot of people can. I mean, that's a really hard thing for me, is not to take on like the woes of the world.
Absolutely. Like I used to do, I've obviously gotten better with this, but I used to I would teach this like amazing workshop. Like, cause I'm a yoga teacher too. And I'd be like, man, that was such a good healing, heart opening workshop. And everyone worked through all of these things and they all left feeling amazing. And I'd be sick for like a week. And I was like, why am I so sick and tired? And I'm like, oh, I took on all of their energy. And I was like, I need to learn how to do this differently. You know, and I was working in trauma and all the time. And I was like, why do I always feel tired? I'm like, oh, it's because I'm working a lot. I'm like that, but I'm also taking on all these people's pain and trauma all the time. And so if we're trying to help and serve, like you said, like that's something all of us want, we can't do it from a place if we're just like so depleted.
Opening ourselves up. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that'll be good. I'm excited for those I could use them.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions? Oh, we got to do your meditation.
That's what I was going to say. I would love to do the meditation to get into the feeling of joy, because the reason why I love this is it makes it a really sensory and a body experience, and it will allow you guys to really connect to it. So yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, cool.
I'm totally game for this kind of stuff.
Okay, cool. So first, just sit up tall.
Okay.
You guys can just close your eyes, everyone who's listening. Place your hands on your hips. So we're first going to move a little bit to get more into our bodies so we can start to feel and connect. So placing your hands on your hips and just do really big hip circles. So you're going to move your full body, like full body hip circles. So roll to the right. And your eyes are closed, so it doesn't really matter what you look like.
Except for everybody that's watching me in the Facebook group.
Everyone's watching in the Facebook group. You're closing your eyes too. Everyone is closing their eyes. Okay, change directions. Okay, come back to center. And then as you inhale, reach your arms all the way up overhead. And then as you exhale, just let your arms drop and exhale out your mouth like, let it go. Take another deep breath in, reach your arms up overhead. Exhale, just let it drop. One more time. Breathe in through your nose, reach up. Exhale out your mouth, let it go. And then bring your hands together in front of your heart. Rub your hands together just a little bit, feeling some warmth and energy. And then place your palms together at your heart center and push your palms together and press your palms on your sternum, your breastbone. Relax your shoulders down and back and just kind of feel all this energy right here in the center of your body. Breathe in through your nose. Hold the breath at the top. Then exhale out your nose. One more breath in here. And as you hold the breath at the top, I want you to set an intention to connect to joy. And then as you exhale, just exhale out your nose slowly and just allow your intention to kind of sink into your body. And release your hands and place your hands over your heart. Left hand underneath, right hand on top. Rolling your shoulders down and back. Keep breathing in and out through your nose. And just start to connect to your heart. This space full of love, the energy around your heart is about 10 times stronger than all of your other chakras and all of your other energetic areas. So really connect to the power that is in your heart space. And when you think of the word joy, what comes to mind for you? When you think of joy, what do you see? When you think of joy, what does it feel like? I want you to think of a time in your life. It could have been today, yesterday, or like 20 years ago. Think of a time when you experienced pure joy, where nothing could hold you back, get in your way. There was this smile glued on your face, this belly laughter, this bliss. Connecting to that moment of joy, just breathe here for a moment and feel that. And I want you to notice where you are. Notice who you're with. Notice what it sounds like. Sunshine, birds chirping, waves crashing, people laughing. I want you to notice what it feels like. What sensations are coming up? What words, what emotions and feelings do you connect to this moment of pure joy? And then I want you to just do a quick little body scan. Notice where you feel that showing up in your body. So maybe here in your heart, maybe in your belly, in your head, or your right toe, who knows? Place your hands on that part of your body where you feel something. It may be like a tingling, a warmth, some kind of electricity. I want you to connect to that feeling in your physical space. And take a big breath into wherever your hands are. And exhale out your mouth and release it. Bring your hands out to the side with your palms facing up. Cup your hands like you're holding this big ball, like one of those big exercise balls that you can bounce on. And I want you to feel like you're holding this moment of joy that you've experienced in your life. This joy is this bright light, this big giant ball of joy, of bliss, of warmth that you're holding in your hands right now. And feel this warmth and feel this light. And I want you to take the ball and literally throw it up in the air. And as you throw it up and your arms release over your head, there's this giant like flash of light that is above you. And then releasing your arms down to the side like you're pulling this ball of joy around you and over you. And it's embodying you. You're inside, kind of like a little hamster wheel, but it's just this ball of joy. It's encompassing you. It's also protecting you. Anything that may block you or hold you back literally runs into the ball and falls over. So you're in this little joy bubble. I want you to just smile. Feel this. Feel this state of pure bliss, pure joy. And know that this is always inside of you. All you need to do is step into your little joy bubble. Take a deep breath in here. As you exhale, bring your hands back to your heart, connecting back to your heart. And that feeling of joy, that sensation, you can come back to, you can connect to by simply closing your eyes and placing your hands over your heart and remembering what it feels like to be in that state of joy. And know that this is your natural state and you can return to it whenever you desire. Take another deep breath in, holding your breath at the top, smiling, feeling that joy. Exhale and release. Release your hands down. Take one more breath in. And then exhale, let it go. Keeping your eyes closed, start to come back into your body a little bit, moving side to side. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes.
Oh, dude. I don't know if you could hear my kids playing nursery rhymes in the background. I was like trying to muffle it. So sorry if that all got in your way. But how awesome is it to have a joy bubble?
Yeah.
Like that's probably the biggest thing everybody can use.
Yeah. You know what's funny is I've never taught that meditation using a joy bubble. It just came to me in this moment and I'm like, let's do it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Well, thanks for coming on.
Oh my gosh, this was so fun. Thank you.
You're welcome. So we're going to be giving away a free joy session. So anybody that watches it, go ahead and interact, like it, ask questions. We'll be going back through answering any questions as well. And then we'll be raffling one off either tomorrow or Sunday. And then next week, it's funny how the universe shifts stuff around. Yeah, Diane says, I like the mental image of protection of the joy bubble. I do too.
Yes.
I really do too. Next week, the universe shifted stuff around. And we are going to have my friend Heather on. We are going to be talking about gratitude, which I think is great to build on to what we got going on.
Yeah.
It's going to be a really great take with them. She's got a very interesting story. She's the perfect person to encapsulate this message. Encapsulate, I don't know if that's the word I was looking for, but the person to help us spread this message. You guys are going to love her. So awesome. Thanks, Rebecca, for joining us. I'm so glad you were here. With that, I hope you guys have a really great day, and then we'll catch you next week.
Yes. Thank you guys. This was so much fun.
Bye.